What if the community you needed didn't exist? So you built it yourself. In this episode, part 2 with Vithyaa, also known as V, we talk about the self-doubt she carried, the notes on her phone about every small win she had had, every quiet achievement that she reads back to herself when the doubt gets loud, like it does for so many of us. The personal cost of choosing her own path and the relationship in her life that needed to change. She also talks about Brown Boss Babes in more depth, the community she started from scratch for South Asian women doing extraordinary things that nobody in their world was supposed to see. 8 years in, still learning, still building, still the proof that it's possible if you ask the question, what if? We pick up here with V explaining more about Brown Boss Babes and how it has expanded into other subgroups to help a greater number of people. You started Brown Boss Babes, and it also has two other groups, which is
Rising Ranis and the Brown Brotherhood.
Yes, for young people and for men. Just talk us through, how this has evolved and what purpose it's serving right now.
So Brown Boss Babes was started when I started my entrepreneurial journey, obviously hiding it at the same time.
Wow.
And it was started because I'd go to all these networking events because, I had no business experience. So I was like, I need to learn everything there is about business. I'm still learning. 8 years in, I'm still learning. I will forever still be learning because everything's always constantly changing, especially in the world of AI. We're not going down that rabbit hole.
No.
But in saying that, so I would go to these networking events and be one of the only women of color. And that wasn't an issue because obviously, I open my mouth and my accent is very Australian. And so I'd be able to talk to, being Australian and growing up and all that sort of stuff. But then they wouldn't understand the cultural and gender stereotypes of starting your own business and especially in the events industry and, doing something that wasn't deemed successful. And so my parents were like, you have no business experience. This is not going to last. Like the business venture is not going to last. If anything, it's just going to be a massive money pit for you. And so that's when I started Brown Boss Babes because I realized people would start reaching out going, oh, V, I've got a business too. And I was like, I had no idea because everyone was hiding it. Because, they were accountants by day and then doing really cool creative things outside of their work hours. And so I created that community because I was like, let's give a space to the brown women or the South Asian women or women of color effectively doing something that is for them, that is creating their own businesses, which is very male dominated for South Asians. Back then there was hardly any female entrepreneurs. And if they were, they weren't as amplified within their own community. They weren't as celebrated. I think those are the right words. They weren't as celebrated. And so I wanted to be able to do that, bring women together that have similar circumstances in terms of growing up and expectations, but then also were fighting to start their own businesses and wanted to start their own business and control it as well. And so that's when Brown Boss Babes came to be. And now it's a national program operating across the country, which is amazing. And then after 7 years of nagging, my husband finally said yes to running the Brown Brotherhood. And so that operates across Sydney and Melbourne. And then there was 2 young girls at a gender equity conference I was speaking at a private school last year. And they came up to me and were like, was Brown Boss Babes for us? And I was like, yes, but then no, because, we also do the fun thing, go out to really cool bars, in cities and, have a really good time. But they can't do that because they're under 18. So then we realized there is a gap. And I realized when I was that age, can you imagine what we would be able to have done if we had something for them by us? And when I say by us, by South Asian women for the younger generation. And so that's when Rising Ranis came to be. And we've only hosted one event in Sydney, and that was for Valentine's or Galentine's, so to speak. And the girls just wanted to get together, meet each other, but then also it was a way for us to get feedback on what they wanted. And so we realized they want unbiased advice from, professionals, creatives, founders that, weren't related to them, but to have a free-flowing conversation that is, there's no expectations. It's safe, judgment-free zone going, look, and if one of them said, I want to be a dancer, let's help them on that pathway to do so. So That is what Rising Ranis is, because that generation, the next generation, they're our future leaders. And so what we can do to support them is, give them access to information, to people, mentors, but then also give them the access to understand, how to be better leaders, but then also staying true to, what you identify as your cultural background as well, because it can be quite tricky growing up in Australia and having that South Asian mix there as well.
Absolutely. And do you think, because you said there's so many of them that were, have their regular acceptable jobs, 9 to 5, and then doing these amazing creative things outside. Do you think that is still because of the cultural pressure that they have to keep that other creative, maybe, love of theirs just a little bit on the side? Is that?
Yeah, I also think there is which is why Brown Boss Babes is great, because we're starting to do more of this, but there is also that lack of ability to back themselves.
Yeah, right.
Because someone's always been in the back of their ear going, this is not going to be successful.
Yeah.
And that's why Brown Boss Babes, the existence of it is so important, to remind them that they can. And I remember when I was going through that tough time with my employer going, I am the founder of Brown Boss Babes. Like, I need to gather my confidence and strength to stand up for myself and fight for what's mine. Otherwise, I'm going to go out and create it myself, which is what I've done. And so to tell these women that, I am the proof that is in the pudding, if that's the right way to say it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, if that's the right way to say it. But if I can do it, they can do it.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to give them the skills to scale their businesses. So this year we're focusing very much more on business. So we have monthly business roundtables to give them the skills to talk about the issues that are plaguing their business, whether it be, which is commonly social media and marketing at the moment, and funding. But how to circumnavigate that and overcome those barriers, and so they can scale their businesses and eventually walk away from that full-time employment going, I can now put all my eggs in this basket and grow my business the way it's supposed to, and actually enjoy what I do day to day and not just enjoy what I do for half the day. And that's what we're starting to see. And that's not just for like South Asian women. We're starting to see that across all women entrepreneurship. Like women are wanting access to information that's going to help them scale their businesses, because they're wanting to leave those workforces that are no longer serving them, or employers that are taking them for granted and not treating them fairly and appropriately, and so forth. So I have hope in women entrepreneurship. I believe women-led businesses do a lot more greater work than the male-dominated businesses, because females think both with their emotions, but then also in consideration of others as well and their teams, which is why women-led teams tend to do rather well.
I think also women feel like it's not an easy part. They have to prove more. And so therefore maybe they've got that extra work ethic, that grit, that they go, it's not just I'm going to do this. Like men often have an easier path. It's women are like, have to forge their way through. And I think, you are just the perfect ambassador for these women. But anyone who's run their own business would also know, or started anything, it's not easy. So there's a lot of work that's been going on behind what you've done, and a lot of courage. And did you ever have moments of doubt where you went, crap, I'm not sure this is going to work, or,
Oh, yes, 100%. I think I hate the word imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
But that always gets tossed around.
Yeah.
And then now what I do is, to overcome that, I've got like a little note on my phone of everything I've achieved.
Yeah.
Or every accolade or every minor celebration that I've ever celebrated. Like, possibly getting, like, every time I've gotten a client that's come over from my previous role, I've written that down, and I read through that going, okay, this is what I've done. So why am I like second guessing myself? And I also tell the community as well. I tell all women, like, if you're second guessing yourself, write down everything you've achieved and look at that when you're having a bad day.
That is such good advice. And it's just celebrating those little wins that add up. And they're contributing to your success along the way. Because I take my hat off to you. It's amazing what you've done in all of these areas. Like, it's just incredible.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm curious, so what's a version of your story that you haven't told publicly?
The fight, really. There has been a lot of personal issues as well. And I think that's what's made me the person I am today. So publicly, I've not actually mentioned this, but I'm not on speaking terms with my father at all. I don't think he really, even when I was becoming a fire investigator, I don't think he really still understands what I do. But I know he's one of a couple, he's got multiple siblings. And all of his siblings know what I do, which is great. And so I know that they're communicating to him about, what I'm doing and the stuff as well that they're seeing on my social media and stuff like that. Like I know they're reporting back. And I know that some of them actually do listen to, my podcast, and I'm sure they'll listen to this episode as well. So it took me a while to realize my father didn't really have, I didn't have the support from him that I needed. And so putting that boundary in place and so forth kind of protects me from that energy as well. And then, I've put a lot of boundaries in because being a South Asian person, there wasn't as much boundaries, especially when I became married and then a mother as well. So you have a lot of people commenting on various things. I still have people commenting, but I choose not to listen, which is why I've got really strong boundaries. And so I tell a lot of women who go through the same thing in terms of their personal stuff, when they're saying this family member is being way too involved and I just need to put a boundary in place. I'm like, put a boundary. They don't need to know that boundary is there, but it's how you interact with that person. If you don't answer back, or you just nod your head and, say, yes, I'm listening to what you're saying, but really I'm not taking it in. That is a boundary.
Yeah.
And that is really important because we have a lot of people commenting on, all parts of our lives. And I think it's important to keep those boundaries in place so we can continue doing what we're doing. If I still had, my father calling me going, hey, can you come help me with this? Which is the only reason why he ever called me. He would never call me just to check in or check in on my son or see his grandson. He would only call me when he needed something. So when I realized that was the relationship, I was like, this is not serving me. I'll see him at family functions and that's about it.
Yeah. No, I understand that. And I think our family often have their own agendas, and it isn't always with our best interest at heart, unfortunately. You think that it should be a hand in hand with family, but it's not.
I saw that actually last week. So I spoke at Blacktown Girls High School, and that's in Western Sydney. And they had a sort of a discussion session happening, which is all about networking with other industry professionals that were there for them to have, possible mentorship opportunities come in and they could talk about career and get career advice. And a lot of them already knew what they wanted to do. And then I would ask them, so is this something you want to do or your parents want you to do it? And 80% of the time, it was because their parents wanted them to do it. And so I said to them, like, so if you didn't do what your parents asked you to do you know what you would want to be? And they didn't know because they were growing up within that same, what I grew up with, with that perceived expectation to do the stereotypical thing. And that's still happening, which is quite sad. I've seen that across private schools as well. I've had teachers, because I speak regularly at some certain schools, and I have people like the teachers telling me, oh, it's so good that you're giving them this advice because a lot of these kids are just doing what their parents want them to do. And so I think that's something that a lot of the next generation need to be aware of, it's their own life. And in saying that, they need to know that if they don't enjoy what they're going to do, then what is the point of it all? What is the point in studying so hard if, they're studying for something that they don't actually want to do and then go through, having a massive uni debt like me and then having to pay for it doing a job you don't want to do. So, and I think with the world where it is now, there's so much opportunity. You don't have to go to university to be successful. If one day my son goes, I want to be a tradie, all for it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. And I did the same. I didn't know. Actually, I did know when I was younger, all I wanted to do was be in a creative field, acting, voiceovers, all of that sort of stuff. But my parents, and especially my dad, said, oh, you'll be a waitress all your life. Don't do it, blah, blah, blah. So I went into a teaching degree. And I'm lucky because I loved it. I loved the kids, but it wasn't what fulfilled my heart. So it took me a long time, though, to have the courage. And I still don't think I've stripped away the fears associated with, do you know what I mean, living fully into that passion. So when I hear your story and how you had that courage at such a young age to go, I'm going to do this, and it's exactly the message I'm wanting to share with everyone is that what gifts you were born with, what lights you up. Just take a step towards that, whatever that looks like, find that fulfillment because that's what we're meant to be here for, I believe. So
I agree with you. And social media is so good now. The next generation, they can find someone that's, doing something that they want to do and connect with them and go, can you give me advice? Can you give me some sort of mentorship to help me along this pathway or even help me have a conversation with my parents?
Yes. Yeah, exactly right. So with all these incredible, courageous steps you've taken, is there anything that still scares you?
Well, I'm doing high rocks in 30 days.
Yeah, that's what that would do it. Wow. Okay.
And I think that's what I'm scared of.
Yeah.
I want I know I will finish, but I want a good time. And then I realize I'm also challenging. I think because I need a challenge. I always need a challenge, right?
Yeah.
And so I need a fitness challenge. And I
Mm.
want to get to the point where I'm super fit, but also a mum and, doing all these great things. And then finishing high rocks with my with my high rocks partner, who is also a mum who's in her 40s,
Wow.
and doing it in a reasonable time.
Yep.
So that is my current challenge, and that's what I'm currently scared of. To go, I
What
hate running, and that's the issue.
what does it actually entail? What's the event?
So High Rocks is an 8-kilometer circuit, so to speak. So you do 1 kilometer of running, and then you've got various stations between. So after every station, you do another kilometer of running. So it's 8 kilometers worth of running, and then you've got like a series of 100 wall balls, a farmer's carry, and then you've got a sled push and pull, kilometer rowing, a kilometer on the ski erg, and also doing various lunges. And I hate lunges.
Oh, neither.
So it is an endurance. It's an endurance. I would like to call it an endurance race, and it tests your mind and body as well. So right now my training is a lot of running because I hate running. And so you need to reach a safe conversational pace to survive without your legs failing on you during one of the actual main little activities, because I think the running is the hardest part. The activities, not so much, but obviously fatigue gets you.
Yeah.
And so that's when your mind going, you can do it, you have to finish, will keep you going.
I feel like that mindset has kind of got you through a lot, that I can do this, I'm going to push through it, and, that grit and determination.
We'll see. I've never put my body on the line this much before.
Oh, dear. Now, I know you've mentioned you've had a role model, maybe one in particular. Who is that, and what part have they played in your life?
So that would be my mentor, Jim Monday. He was the one I emailed all those years ago asking, can I work for free to see if this is something I'm interested in? And that is actually what I wrote in the email. And it was, he gave me the career start. He gave me the opportunity. He gave me a job. He believed in me. And I even called him when I was thinking about resigning, going, I think this is my time to leave, and I appreciate everything you've done. Even his wife as well, very much like mother, father, role models to me. But it was quite disheartening the way it all happened, and haven't spoken to his wife. But I know if I ever go to Perth, I must go see them both. But it's not to say I won't. I don't communicate because I'm wary of who he works for and so forth. So I like to keep respect of those professional boundaries too. Yeah.
So he no longer has kind of much, like you don't really contact him much anymore.
No, just because it's a very sore subject.
Yeah, fair. That's fair.
And I will be seeing them in October at our international conference in New Zealand. So we have the Australasian Fire Investigation Conference happening in New Zealand, which is every 2 years. So I'll be seeing him then. I believe he's presenting as well. So see him then, have a catch up, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I owe a lot of my professional career to him.
Awesome. At this point in time, if you were to write an autobiography, what would the title of that be?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, actually, disrupt the systems, maybe. I don't know. Something to do, disrupt, rebel. I think that's very much what I've done. I'd have to think on that, actually. That's a really good question. No one's ever asked me that.
I think disrupt is a really good adjective to describe what you have done in so many industries, and for your background and everything. You've taken the path less traveled, and you've certainly carved out your own niche here, and it's definitely disrupted a lot of areas, which I think is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. No,
I need to look at those notes to understand what you're talking about again.
Okay, so here's another hypothetical. Can you describe in some detail, as much as possible, what your life in 5 years' time might look like?
Oh, I can't say I don't want to be working that much because I love working.
Yep.
But I want to say have a few fire investigators working at my company, get to the point where parts of my charity have also got paid positions, especially for the Brown Boss Babes program, and get more funding for that, create more programs for that charity as well, but then also diversify the impact for all Australians as well.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm wary, I am South Asian, but I was born in Australia. And so this is the land that's given me a lot. And so I want to do what I can to now give back. So that is the plan, hopefully, when I've got more time up my sleeve.
Yeah. Well, I don't know where that's going to be because I'm so busy. Okay, fill in the blank of this one. The purpose of my life is to.
Be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Simple.
Simple
very
and
true.
yes. That like I said, I enjoy what I do, and so money doesn't give me success. It's enjoying what I do that gives me that happiness.
Yeah. And I've got two last questions. They're both what ifs, appropriately named. What if you could only be remembered for one thing? What would you want it to be?
Oh, Brown Boss Babes.
Yeah. Why?
Purely because of the opportunity and inspiration it has given a lot of the South Asian women that I know of, but then also the ones that I've never interacted with but have experienced Brown Boss Babes before.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's already a legacy for you. I think you've changed the lives of so many people. It's incredible.
Thank you.
And my final question, what if someone listening right now who is standing exactly where you were at the beginning, what would you want them most to hear?
To follow their instinct and have faith in what they want to do for themselves.
Yeah. Perfect. And to be brave, I reckon, if they're following in your tracks.
Yeah, be brave and back yourself. I think the hardest thing for most people to do is to back yourself when it feels like the world is against you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It is. It brings up all those old fears, the old conditioning, and which I think is why your story is so incredible, because I know that you've had all of that, but you've done it anyway. So thank you for everything you're doing for Southeast Asian women, but also for women entrepreneurs and men. Like, you're just impacting so many different communities, and the role modeling you're setting is phenomenal. So I just thank you for everything you do. I think you're an incredible woman.
Oh, thank you, Jules. That's very sweet of you to say.
Thank you for joining me on Jules FM. What If? I hope you enjoyed this episode with Vithyaa. 8 years in, still learning, still building. Still the proof that if you ask the question, what if, and then you back yourself to answer it, anything is possible. A woman who was brave enough to reject the expectations of her family and society, overcome the barriers, to wear the personal cost, and to come out the other end with something quite extraordinary. If Vithia's story resonated with you, I think you'd love my conversation with Vicky Petratus. Vicky is one of Australia's most respected true crime authors, and her story has the same energy. A woman who followed her passion with complete conviction, trusted where it led, and never looked back. The opportunities that found her along the way were beyond anything she could have planned for. And if you haven't heard part 1 of this conversation yet, go back. It's where it all begins, and V's story is one you don't want to miss any part of. Until next time, what if?